Town Mouse and Country Mouse. Once there was a roly-poly, wriggly-whiskered mouse who lived in a snug little nest under an oak tree. Country Mouse loved his home. He had plenty of acorns, nuts, and berries to eat, and a warm and cozy straw bed to sleep in. Squirrel and Robin, who lived in the oak tree, were the best neighbors he could ever wish for. One day, Country Mouse had a surprise. His cousin, Town Mouse, came to visit from the big city. Town Mouse was sleek and slender, with a smooth, shiny coat. His whiskers were smart and elegant. Country Mouse felt a little ordinary beside him. But he didn't mind. All he wanted to do was make Town Mouse feel welcome. "Are you hungry, cousin?" he said. "Come and have some supper." But Town Mouse didn't like the acorns and blackberries that Country Mouse gave him to eat. They were tough and sour. And Town Mouse thought his cousin's friends were boring. The straw bed that he slept in that night was so rough and scratchy that he didn't sleep a wink. Next day, Town Mouse said, "Come to the big city with me, cousin. It's so much more exciting than the country. I live in a grand house, eat delicious food, and have exciting adventures. Come with me and see what you've been missing." It sounded so wonderful, Country Mouse couldn't resist. Saying goodbye to his friends, the cousins set off for the city. When they arrived in the big city, Country Mouse was frightened. It was so noisy. Horns blared and wheels clattered all around them. Huge trucks roared down and rumbled down the streets, and the smelly, smoky air made them choke and cough. And there were dogs everywhere. At last they arrived safely at Town Mouse's house. It was very grand, just as Town Mouse had said, but it was so big. Country Mouse was afraid he would get lost. "Don't worry," said Town Mouse to Country Mouse. "You'll soon learn your way around the house. For now, just stay close to me. I'm starving. Let's go have a snack." Country Mouse was hungry too, so he followed his cousin into the kitchen. Country Mouse had never seen so much delicious food. There were plates full of fruit, nut, cheese, and cakes. He and his cousin ate and ate and ate, but Country Mouse wasn't used to this sort of rich food. Before he knew it, his tummy was aching. Suddenly, a huge woman came into the room. "Eek! Mice!" she screamed. She grabbed a big broom and began to swat the mice, who scampered off as fast as they could. As the two mice scurried across the floor, Country Mouse thought that things couldn't possibly get worse. But how wrong he was! A big cat suddenly sprang out from behind a chair. With a loud meow, he pounced on the two little mice. Country Mouse had never been so frightened. He darted and dashed as fast as his aching tummy would let him. The two mice jumped through a mouse hole and were safe at last in Town Mouse's house. "Phew, I think I've done enough for one day," said Town Mouse when they had caught their breath. "Let's get some sleep," he said with a yawn. "I'll show you the rest of the house in the morning." Country Mouse curled up in the hard little bed, but he was too frightened and unhappy to sleep. As he listened to his cousin snore, he tried hard not to cry. Next morning, Town Mouse was ready for more adventures, but Country Mouse had more than enough. "Thank you for reminding me," he told his cousin, "but I have seen all I want to of the big city. It's too big and noisy and dirty, and too full of danger for me. I want to go back to my quiet, peaceful home in the country." So Country Mouse went back to his snug, cozy home under the oak tree. He had never been so happy to see his friends. They had wanted to hear all about his adventures. Country Mouse was pleased to tell them everything that happened in the big city. But he never ever went back there again. The end.